Hello again. Welcome back to the second instalment of my MCC Weekly Challenges guides. This time we'll be looking at the second set of challenges, Set B. This is the set that will have us playing either Halo 2 or ODST in campaign, and either Halo 2 Classic or Halo 3 in multiplayer. Just a couple of things I wanted to clarify before we get into it, which, to be fair, is something I should have done in the first video, is say that these guides won't necessarily show you the absolute best way to complete individual challenges, but rather what I think is the best way to complete all of the weekly challenges as a whole, as quickly and as efficiently as possible. For example, this week we have the 20 grand challenge, which requires us to complete 2 missions with at least 20,000 score. I'm going to be telling you to do the mission Metropolis for this, which isn't the fastest out there for this specific challenge. I've seen quite a few other guides recommend Halo 3's Floodgate, which, yeah, is a much faster mission. However, by playing Metropolis, it'll also allow us to get progress towards the Delta droppings and Send It challenges, whereas Floodgate won't. Also, there are a number of reoccurring challenges that we see every week. I'm going to make the assumption that you've already seen my Set A video, and I don't want to repeat everything I've already said just for the sake of it, so I'll only touch on those ones lightly. With that out of the way, let's jump right in. We're going to start by taking a look at the PvE challenges first. So here's what PvE challenges we have this week. Again, I like to start this week with 2 games of Firefight. As always, if time isn't on your side and you're against the clock, then feel free to pass on this challenge, as we can still earn the Versus CPU challenge without it. If you are doing it, you can play any 2 games of 4-player Firefight you want, though I would suggest tailoring your choice based on what tactical exercises you have. If you're not bothered about tactical exercises, based on this week's challenges, I'd suggest Halo Reach on either Sniper Fight or Arcade Fight. Obviously, Sniper Fight lends itself to the Send It challenge, where you need to get 75 kills with snipers. Arcade Fight, however, has both Arcade Fight and Fist Fight, both of which are useful for the Profiteering challenge. Fist Fight spawns you with unlimited swords and hammers, and Arcade Fight allows you to swap out your weapons, so you can get plenty of Covenant weapon kills. Now, you don't have to do this, you can just play what you want, as I'll still be showing you other methods to complete those 2 challenges, but it might just ease the burden on yourself later. Firefight games out the way, we're going to head on over to campaign. One of the reoccurring challenges is Narrative Navigator. Last week we completed 3 campaign missions for this, 3 runs of Nightfall, 2 on Heroic, then 1 on Normal. Now, we could technically copy this method again, 2 Heroic and 1 Normal, but due to the fact that we need 20,000 score on 2 of the missions, we'll actually have to play some of them properly, we can't just speedrun them. Now, I want to keep this guide as beginner friendly as possible, and I just don't think it's worth trying to play 2 missions on Heroic, so instead we're going to play 4 missions on Normal. These 4 missions are going to consist of 2 runs of ODST's Uplift Reserve, and then 2 runs of Halo 2's Metropolis. It doesn't really matter which order you do these missions in, but I personally like to get Uplift Reserve done first, as those are super quick to complete. So, head on over into campaigns. Halo 3 ODST, playlists, the Vehicle Rally playlist, and then start from the beginning. Now, we are going to be speedrunning these 2 runs of Uplift Reserve. At this point, we're only focusing on a couple of challenges: playlist progression, delta droppings, and cooperation. Speaking of cooperation, now would be a good time to invite your friends or sign in a guest on a spare controller. For the heads up display, we actually want to enable the scoring option. Something which doesn't seem to be mentioned anywhere is that if you finish missions with 0 or negative score, you don't actually get progress towards some other challenges. As it's surprisingly easy to complete this mission without actually killing anyone, we need to have the score enabled so we can identify if we need to get a few more kills at the end of the level or not. Obviously, you can get points by killing enemies, however you can also lose points, either by dying or betraying an ally, whether that's another player or an NPC. You'll also lose 50 points whenever you manually revert back to a checkpoint, however the game doesn't display this loss on the screen like it does with the others. Don't worry too much about score though, as it's still a quick and easy mission and you hopefully won't be dying much, if at all, during the run. With that out of the way, let's start the mission. As I said earlier, this mission is just one big speed run really. All we're going to be doing is just getting into vehicles and just driving past everything. Fortunately, we don't have to activate anything, or we don't have to kill anything in particular, we can literally just run past everything. So we've got our first Warthog there on its arse. We're going to flip it over, get into it and drive off. You can go to the left and you can go to the right. I think I like going to the right, it's just a little bit easier. There's no enemies and it's more open. Watch out for choppers though. That one, I don't know how it didn't blow me up there, but it quite easily could have done. You want to go to the right hand side of this wraith, and then there'll be another chopper coming around the corner, followed by another wraith, and you want to go to the left of that. So right on the first wraith, left on the second. Hopefully you won't need them, but when we get to this area, if you just jump out, there's a health pack on the wall there, and then there's a second one on the floor around to the left. But you want to ditch the warthog now for the ghost. So if you are playing on a 2-player, say your goodbyes, because one of you is just going to speed off and leave the other one to do nothing, basically. So whoever is in the ghost, just follow the path that I'm taking here. Once you go past this little puddle, we've got 3 big rocks sort of in front of us. We want to boost up onto the first one, then just slowly over onto the second. Then once you get onto the third, you want to back up and just do a little run and jump. So use your boost and press A to lift the front of the ghost up. Splatter those grunts if you want, you don't have to, but it just gives you a few extra points. And then just boost on through to the next area. Once we get here, I like just turning to the right and then just hugging the right hand wall of this next area. There's a couple of wraiths we have to sort of get past here, but it's not hard, just boost past them really. This is probably the most dangerous part of the mission, and it's not really that dangerous at all, to be honest. And then just boost over the bridge and admire the orbital elevator getting destroyed in the background. Once we get back outside, we want to look out for a single bush. There it is. You want to boost up into that bush basically to get up the ledge. Then turn to the right and just go along this ledge. And then once we get near the lamppost, you can go back up to the top. This bit here, this is just habit more than anything else, but I like going sort of up and over the side of this rock so we can just avoid all the enemies down the bottom. But again, you don't have to. Once we get to here, there are a couple more brutes we can splatter if you need those points. And then that is pretty much the mission done now, just one final area to get through. If for whatever reason you've died a million times, or you just haven't killed anyone and you've got no score, this is the last point of the mission, so you want to jump out and hopefully you've still got your Spartan laser with you. Just take out that last wraith at the end there, and that should give you plenty of points. So yeah, you're free to just end the mission now. And that's it. Completing our first run will give us the playlist progression challenge. We're going to go back and rerun that mission now, exactly the same as before. Completing the second run through will give us the cooperation challenge, so at this point, you know what to say to your second player.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
Now, we're going to move on over to Halo 2's Metropolis. So, from the main menu, go into Campaigns, Halo 2 Anniversary, Missions, and select Metropolis. As I said earlier, we're going to be going for the 20 grand challenge here, so we'll need to get at least 20,000 score on these 2 run-throughs. Before we go any further, I just want to take a minute to explain how score is calculated. Each enemy has a base score. For example, a grunt miner is worth 10 points. Now, each difficulty also applies an additional multiplier. Easy is 0.25, normal is 1, heroic is 2, and legendary is 4. That means a grunt is worth different points on different difficulties. While it would make sense to play on a higher difficulty, I want to try and keep this as easy as possible, so we're going to be sticking to normal. Don't worry though, as there are a few more ways we can earn more points. You can get points added onto each kill if you earn any spree, multi-kill or style medals. For example, if you headshot a grunt miner, or normal, you'll get the headshot medal, so you'll end up getting 11 points instead of the 10 you'd get for a standard kill. On top of this, we can also enable scoring skulls for additional multipliers. In the skulls section, there are 2 categories of skulls, scoring and non-scoring. The scoring skulls all have small times multipliers, usually between 1.1 and 1.3. If we enable, say, the Iron Skull, which is a 1.3 times multiplier, instead of 10 points, a standard Grunt Miner kill then becomes 13. If we enable multiple scoring skulls, the game multiplies the multipliers. For example, if we take these 3 skulls and multiply them together, we end up with a multiplier of 1.72, which you would also see on the launch game screen. There is one final way we can get more points, and I'd argue this is the most important one: time. Each mission has a par time. They vary mission to mission, but for Metropolis it's 15 minutes. If you complete a mission within its par time, you're awarded a 3 times multiplier at the end. If you exceed par time, the multiplier then begins to drop until it eventually reaches a 1 times multiplier. The rate at which it drops is dependent on the mission, however for Metropolis you'll hit the 1 times multiplier at 30 minutes. After the multiplier drops to 1, you'll only have a limited amount of time to earn more points, as there is a cutoff. Again, the rate in which this cutoff appears varies between missions, but for Metropolis it occurs at the 40-minute mark. You keep the current score you've earned up to this point, but further kills and medals are all worth 0. Don't worry though, we're going to be done long before this happens. I appreciate that's quite a lot to digest, and to be honest, I've probably made it sound way more complicated than it needs to be. Don't worry if it sounds like too much maths. There's a really easy way to keep track of what score you'll get, and that's with the heads-up display. You'd think that you'd want to enable the scoring HUD for this, but actually you don't. This only tracks the score you get from kills and medals. It won't show you the time multiplier you'll get at the end of the mission. The competitive scoring HUD, however, shows you how long you've been playing the mission for, the times multiplier you're currently on, and it calculates your final score on the go. So, we'll want to enable this option instead. Next, let's put the difficulty on normal. I usually put 2 skulls in this time around, just to make sure we're not scraping a pass. I like putting catch on, because all it does is make enemies throw more grenades, but to be honest, I don't think it makes much of a difference. And then I also put the fog skull on. Fog just disables the motion tracker, which we can easily live without for this mission. And that's it. We're good to go. So start up your engines, boys. So, starting off, you want to go ahead and jump into the tank straight away. If you do it quick enough, the guy with the rockets will get on the front, whereas if you wait a few seconds, he ends up sitting on the back seat, which ain't too much of a problem if he does. I just feel like he shoots more rockets when he's sat at the front. So yeah, we're just going to take the tank and roll across the bridge slowly. There is a Warthog that you could take, but I wouldn't advise taking that. Even though it is quicker, you're reliant on the Marines getting the kills, and I've never really sat there and counted, but I feel like because you progress through the mission quicker on the Warthog, it spawns in fewer ghosts. And obviously we're after points here, so we want to encounter as many ghosts as possible. So yeah, just try and pick the Wraith off at range if you can, and then just pick off the ghosts as and when they come. Once I sort of get within a decent range, I will literally just hold down the machine gun and then just fire rockets every time I can. The rocket dude will help out eventually, but they do need to get quite close before he starts helping out. Oh, there we go. He's fired one, finally. So yeah, just slowly mop up all the ghosts in this bit. And as you can see, after the first half of the bridge, we've already got 6,000 points, so nearly a third of the way there already. Now, once we sort of get halfway, where this big hole is in the middle of the bridge, a Phantom is going to fly overhead. So what I like to do is I like to play a little game, see if I can get all 3 turrets in one shot as it flies over. And there we go. Oh, only got 2. So we're going to turn to the right, and then there's going to be another Phantom. You need to take out at least the front and left side turrets for that one. Then there's going to be a Banshee that follows to the left, followed by another Phantom. There it is. Now this Phantom has a Wraith under it. Ideally you want to try and take the Wraith off. There we go. If you don't succeed, it will drop it off further down. And then this is going to be quite hard to see, but there is another Banshee all the way back there. There we go. I do sometimes forget about that last Banshee. If you don't attack it then, it will eventually catch up with you. and it will start shooting at you. It won't do that much damage, but it does just catch you off guard if you do forget about it. And in the middle of all that fighting, another Marine has come out of nowhere and jumped on. He's got rockets as well, which is pretty good. And now there's going to be a few more ghosts. I feel like on the original Xbox, and I could be making this up, but where that second rocket dude comes along, I'm sure there used to be a guy with a sniper rifle as well. And in MCC, he doesn't seem to appear. At least that's what I seem to remember anyway. So yeah, just take out these ghosts now at range. I do a pretty poor job of actually taking these out. I tend to flip them quite a lot of the time. But yeah, just take them out as and when. As we sort of approach the end of the bridge, we don't really want to progress into the next sort of courtyard area type place. We want to hang around at the edge of the bridge. And it'll make sense in a minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out these banshees. For some reason the first one took 2 hits to kill rather than 1. And there should be 3 banshees. So that's 3 banshees taken out. And then 3 or 4 ghosts are going to spawn sort of at the tunnel entrance. We want to hang back here, because if we go past those barriers, I think it prevents any more enemies from spawning in, and we want to grab one of the wraiths in a minute. So after we take those ghosts out, 2 more banshees are going to come in. Take those out nice and easily. And then 2 wraiths are going to come out of the tunnel entrance, and we want to keep one of them not alive, well, keep it intact. And the easiest way I found to do that is to just pepper it with the machine gun. So if you're on Xbox, that's the left trigger. And then hopefully you should kill the driver without destroying the wraith. So now we've taken those out, we're going to bail out of the Scorpion. If there is a plasma rifle lying around anywhere, go ahead and pick that up. So there's one that was dropped from one of the ghost drivers, I think. And yeah, we're going to pick up some plasma grenades and we're going to take a wraith. Now, the reason we're taking a wraith is, well, it's for 2 reasons. Firstly, it's just a bit quicker. And secondly, we don't want to bring the Marines with us. Now, for this next section, we want to get all the kills ourselves. And if we bring along 2 Marines with rocket launchers, they are going to absolutely clean up the place. So that's why we're leaving them back there, because funnily enough, we don't want their help. We are going to get joined by 2 more Marines in this Warthog. And unfortunately for them, we are going to be killing them, because there's no way to get rid of them. But they're invincible until they drive the Warthog up there and then bail out, which is why I'm only killing them now. So once they're down, I'm going to jump out, and then I'm going to take these guys out with a plasma rifle. Not doing a very good job of it though. Just knocked them both off. But if you come up here and look to the left, there is a beam rifle that we want to take. I'm just going to take these 2 guys out first. And then there should be 2 elites and about 5 grunts that we can take out. So at this point we're getting kills with sniper weapons, covenant weapons, and hopefully we're getting headshots as well. So that's 3 challenges now we're getting with this one gun. Gonna advance just a little bit, and then there's usually 3 jackals on the opposite side, so 1 has a sniper and 2 have shields. Take those guys out, and then we're going to progress a little bit further, and then another jackal sniper is going to run out, but the idiot faces the wrong way. So we're just going to kill him nice and easily. We want to make a mental note of where he drops his sniper, because we're going to be picking that one up when this one runs out of ammo. So just aim down this sort of alleyway and just pick off all the elites and the grunts as they come. This is quite a bad example, because I swear the elites never normally push that aggressively. So normally they just sort of hang back behind the box. But for some reason they wanted to get brave. I think there is another wave coming. There should be another elite and some more grunts, I think. Yep, there they are. And then just check the area, because we've not got a motion sensor, and yep, there's one more hiding down there. But yeah, if you come into the tunnel and you can't see the 3 jackals, 1 or 2 of them might have fallen down the back, so always just check that. Just for another kill, and then we've got another sniper jackal waiting in here. So we're going to take him out, and then we're going to get a fresh beam rifle. and then we're going to move on to the next area. So yeah, I've got a full beam rifle and a reasonably full plasma rifle still. As tempting as it is to backsmack this guy, I always just shoot him now. And then I try and take out the turret dude as well. We're going to jump down, and then we're going to try not to get splattered by our teammate here. And then what I like to do is I like to get him out of the driving seat, and then I like to drive off, because we don't want to bring him with us. So yeah, I like to drive through to the next area. You don't have to do this, you can just keep driving. But I like going for extra points. So I kill the Wraith. I feel like when I do try and drive past it, it boosts into me anyway. You don't have to worry too much about the ghosts. Yeah, so I killed one of them. I'll probably just ignore the other one now. And then we're going to drive through to the next area. Can I get a splatter? No, I can't. So yeah, now we're into this area. Again, I'm going to ignore these guys now. We're doing fine on the points. We can afford to skip a few ghosts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drive up to this Wraith on the left. I'm going to bail out of the Warthog, and I'm going to jump on and board it straight away. I'm going to punch this guy to death. Now, as soon as we kill the driver, it's then going to spawn in a Phantom carrying 2 ghosts. If we're quick enough, we can take out the Wraith before those ghosts get dropped off. So, go ahead and jump in the Wraith, and then use that to take out the other Wraith. As you can see, this one's taking quite a few shots, so I do end up just disengaging and just taking out the ghosts before they get dropped off, so they're not a threat. And then I go back to the final Wraith. Now, pardon the pun, but this enemy Wraith really is tanking quite a few shots. That took way too many to go down. The health of the Wraiths are reflective of who's driving it. And that one had a very small chance, but it had an Elite Ultra driving it, which is why it took so many hits to go down. Normally, if it's just a blue or red Elite, they go down in significantly fewer shots. So yeah, just follow these corridors. Just going to speed this bit up because nothing really happens for like the next minute or so. Now at this point, when the Scarab's walking underneath us, we're going to just go ahead and jump straight onto it. I like walking down the back and then just dropping one of my plasma rifles here. This area is pretty safe. The enemies don't really seem to push. The only sort of time you get sort of anyone coming up there is the red elites, sort of like towards the end of these waves, but even then it's not all that common. So just sort of hang back here and just try and take them out with your beam rifle first. So my shields go down so I can just chill here while and wait for them to come back up. But yeah, you want to primarily use the beam rifle for this bit if you can, just so we can get kills with snipers as well. I've run out of ammo there. So now at this point I'm going to swap over to the plasma rifle and use my plasma grenades as well, just so we can get Covenant weapon kills now. So yeah, I think you finish with about 3 red elites or so, all with plasma rifles. I think 2 out of the 3 dual wield. And yeah, you just want to finish him off at this point. Oh, looks like he almost fell off. Oh, and we've just lost a Marine as well. So yeah, once you've killed all the red elites, that signals the end of the waves, at least, of enemies coming out from inside the Scarab. There are a few more downstairs. I'm going to get some fresh plasma rifles. And then I'm going to turn to the right at the bottom of these stairs, and there'll be a grunt that always throws a grenade. That grunt always throws a grenade when the catch skull is on. So yeah, we're just going to take out this Elite Ultra. If he drops an energy sword like he did there, don't pick it up. You're probably better off still using the plasma rifles. There's one more grunt. And then we've got 2 red elites that are driving the ship, so they won't attack you until you either get really close to them or you damage them. So they should be fine if you leave until the end. And there we go, mission done. As you can see, I finished with 30,000 points in just over 13 minutes. I know I overshot the 20,000 point target quite a bit, but that's good because it means I've then got a bit of a buffer. You know, I could have died a couple of times, which then might have meant I would have exceeded the par time. but even so, I probably still would have gotten the 20,000 points I needed. With this mission, you can have a bad run, but still do well. Completing our first run of Metropolis will grant us the Skullduggery and Dealt with Droppings challenges. We'll obviously need to run this mission a final time, so go ahead and do that. Completing your second run of Metropolis will grant you the 20 grand and Narrative Navigator challenges. At this point, I like to move on to the I Spy challenge. I didn't go into too much detail last week as it just worked in our favour, but despite this challenge being a reoccurring one, it does actually vary week to week. Each week, only a select number of missions will spawn golden mowers. As the weekly challenges reset on an A, B and C rotation, each game gets divided into 3 sets of levels, beginning, middle and end. Week A has mowers on the beginning set of missions, Week B has them on the middle set of missions, and Week C gets them on the end set of missions. Because both Uplift Reserve and Metropolis fall into the beginning sets, we aren't able to actually get any in our previous playthroughs, so we'll have to play a middle set mission specifically for this. I choose Halo 3's Floodgate for this, as it's a nice quick mission with plenty of spawns. Go into Campaigns, Halo 3, Missions, Floodgate, and then scroll on over to the Skulls menu. We want to enable the Acrophobia skull here. If you've not used this skull before, it basically lets you fly. If you jump and then press the jump button again while you're still airborne, you'll start flying forwards really quickly. Just a little tip, don't fly into anything at full speed as it will kill you. You can release the jump button to stop accelerating, though gravity will kick back in. Alternatively, you can let go of the jump button and quickly press the crouch button instead, where you'll come to an immediate stop and you'll just hover on the spot. This is particularly useful when going around sharp bends. So yeah, we're going to be putting this one on just to speed things up a bit. Once that's on, you can just go ahead and start the mission. So, as I said before, we're just going to be speeding through this mission, just checking all the different spawn locations. They're obviously not all going to spawn in. You'll probably get about 3 though. You should get 3. The first spawn point is literally at the start of this mission, just in this little area here, so hiding away in the corner. When I get around this corner, I do pick up the gravity hammer because we might need that later on in the mission. And then the second spawn point is just in this courtyard area here, so it's normally tucked away in this corner. We're going to leave these marines to fend for themselves. Sorry guys. Got golden mowers to go and find. Then in this area here, I'm not sure if it's still there, but there used to be a spawn point up there, although I've never actually seen it spawn in, so either I'm lying and I'm making it up, or they've removed it. The next spawn point is up inside this crate. You'll see it just hanging out on the edge. And then there's also another one in this room, just in that corner there, so I've got that one this week. And then when we get to this bit here, you want to get your gravity hammer out. And we want to jump down, but we don't want to go through the next doorway. We want to hang on this side. So we'll just let Cortana have a little cry, and then we should hopefully get a checkpoint before moving through the door. Yep, there we go. Now, this part is completely optional, but if you still need to complete the Profiteering challenge, you can farm this encounter rather efficiently. I think there's about 8 or so flood, so all you need to do is just run into the middle of them and just set off a few swings of the hammer, and that should be enough to kill them all. The only thing I would say with this bit is that this only works if you're playing on normal or harder. So if you do it on easy, the kills don't count. But yeah, assuming you're done with that section, we can move on. There's another mower which is situated just behind this dude, although it's not here for this run obviously. And then the next one is just outside the door to the left. It spawns somewhere over here. Just going to quickly trigger this cutscene, and then we're going to fly over to the next location. And then just up here over on this side, again in the corner, a mower will spawn just there. Moving on to the next one, again just flying past everyone. We're going to go through this doorway, and then before we go out the door, just up here on the pipes, there might be another one. The next location is quite close by, so just come out the door and take a left. And then this is like the final open area now. In this little alcove, there might be another one just in there. Again, there is a second one out in this area. So you want to fly over to this bit of debris, and then sometimes there is a golden mower perched just there. Lastly, we're going to make our way inside the ship. If you've already got your 3 mowers, you can just quit the mission now. There are no other challenges we can get, and you don't need to finish the mission for any challenges or anything. When the grave mine does his little talking sections, you can just fly through it rather than just walking at a really slow pace, just to speed up a little bit. And then the first location in here is just up to the left there. That one's spawned in for me. So there we go, that's my 3rd one. And then the final spawn point is right at the end of the mission. Not that we can see because the grave mine's talking again. But yeah, it's just up the top there. So yeah, you should hopefully have got 3 mowers from that. We can now quit or end the mission. At this point, you may have completed all of your weekly challenges. So if that's you, well done. If you still need to get progress towards Send It, Profiteering or Pinpoint, there's one place where we can progress all 3 at the same time. The very start of the Halo 2 mission, Regret. So, if you need to progress any of these, go ahead and fire it up. Fortunately, we start with a beam rifle, so headshotting enemies with this will earn you progress towards all 3 challenges. You can also pick up a carbine, though because it's not a sniper weapon, you won't get progress towards Send It, so complete that one before picking one of these up. You can get a checkpoint just before the door to the first structure you come across, run in, headshot all the grunts and jackals, and then revert back to the checkpoint to rinse and repeat. Hopefully that should be every PvE challenge covered. Same advice as last week here, if you're not going to complete all of them, at least try to complete enough for the versus CPU challenge. 500k XP is up for grabs there, so you don't want to miss that. Now it's time to take a look at this week's PvP challenges. A similar story to last week, there are 2 challenges that I don't really bother going for. Obviously, Sweat Equity is one of them. I just don't think that one's worth the time and stress, so unless you're absolutely desperate for Spartan points, I wouldn't bother. If you do want to attempt this, play the Halo 3 Team Slayer playlist, as you probably won't find games in any of the other modes. As I've already said, ranked is dead. The other one I don't really go for is Spray and Play, where you need to get 25 kills with automatic weapons. While you do normally spawn with one, such as the assault rifle or SMG, automatic weapons in my opinion are the weakest category of guns, and I'd much rather swap them out for something else. Again, I will still cover this challenge later on though. So yeah, this week we're going to start off by combining Dual Wielders, which is playing 7 games of either Halo 2 Classic or Halo 3, and Survey Crew, which is playing 5 games of zone control game types. We want to play these first 5 games on 4v4. 2 reasons for this. For me at least, I always seem to find games quicker when searching a 4v4 compared with 8v8, and then the second reason is to do with the game modes we get, but we'll come to that in a minute. You'll want to set your games included to just Halo 3. I don't particularly dislike Halo 2 Classic, but I don't bother searching for it here because Halo 3 is just so popular and is so much faster at finding games in comparison. Turn off all the game categories at the bottom and only leave on Zone Control. Zone Control consists of 4 game types: King of the Hill, Territories, Extraction, and Dominion. Extraction and Dominion are both Halo 4 exclusive, so that just leaves us with Territories and King of the Hill. In 8v8 games of Halo 3 Zone Control, you'll get both King of the Hill and Territories games, whereas in 4v4 you'll only get King of the Hill. King of the Hill has a greater variety of medals that count towards the objective results challenge compared to Territories, and they're probably easier to get as well, so only playing 4v4 here will make sure we get the best objective game type each and every time. There are also quite a few more challenges we can progress outside of just Dual Wielders and Survey Crew within these initial 5 games, those challenges being Friendly Fire, Stayin Alive, Still Rolling, Objective Results, Spray and Play, and Stick Around. Out of these 6 challenges, I'd recommend only focusing on a few specific ones to start with. At this point, I'd say the main one you want to focus on is Objective Results. This challenge requires us to get objective medals, which obviously can only be earned in objective games. After we've played our zone control games, we're going to move on over to Big Team Battle and include more Slayer options, which will then reduce our chances of getting an objective based game mode, so it's best to try and get this one done within the first 5 games if you can. Stick Around is another one you kinda want to focus on. While grenade sticks aren't massively hard to pull off, I do find myself having to make a conscious effort to get them whilst playing. The third and final one you might want to get an early start on is Spray and Play, if you do feel like doing it. You'll need to get 25 kills with automatic weapons. Whilst this sounds like it would be really easy, considering you normally start with one, as I said earlier, generally speaking, automatic weapons are the weakest of all the different weapon types, and most of the time the kills get finished with beatdowns instead, which don't count towards the challenge. So again, it's just another one you'll need to be conscious about if you are trying to complete it. So, now we know which challenges we want to prioritise first and why, let's dive into each one a little bit more to see exactly what we need to do, starting back with Objective Results. As I said earlier, we'll be playing more King of the Hill due to the fact that more of the medals count towards this challenge compared to territories. For King of the Hill, you can earn medals for being the first player in the game to score a point, killing an enemy while they control the hill, killing an enemy while you hold the hill, killing 5 enemies from your hill without dying before it moves, and for holding a hill for its entire duration. Whilst we're only interested in Halo 3, it's probably worth noting that all of these medals can be earned in any game, with the exception of Halo Reach, of course. Strangely, the only one you can earn in Reach is the hardest one, Hail to the King. I've been playing MCC since it came out in 2014, and I've only earned this medal 3 times, so yeah, don't bother going for that one. Another one of the medals which is quite hard to earn is Hill Dominance, for holding the hill for its entirety. It's made harder due to the fact that, unless you memorise the order in which hills rotate for each game and map, you won't know where the next hill is due to spawn, meaning you'll probably miss the first few seconds each time it moves. Halo 2 Anniversary and Halo 4 are the exceptions here, as they will show you where the next hill is inbound, but even so, it's still a challenging medal to achieve. First Point, on the other hand, is an easy medal to achieve. Basically, just be the first person to score a point. Only problem with this one is that it can only be earned once by one person. You'll even have to compete with your teammates for this one. So while it is a nice to have, don't expect this one to help much. That just leaves us with the final 2 medals, for killing enemies either in a hill they control, or from a hill you control. These will make up the bulk of your medals, and they're pretty straightforward to get. All you have to watch out for is when a hill is contested. If you're in a hill, either on your own or with some teammates, you will control that hill. As soon as an enemy steps inside it, it will turn from being your hill to a contested hill. If you then kill the enemy, you will not receive a hill defense medal, as you didn't kill them in a hill you owned, you killed them in a hill that was contested. The same goes for killing an enemy in an enemy-controlled hill. If you enter that hill while they control it, you will then cause the hill to enter a contested state. Again, if you then kill the enemy in a contested hill, you won't get the hill offense medal either, because they didn't die in a hill they owned. If you're attacking a hill, make a conscious effort to kill all of the enemies inside it before entering yourself, in order to maximise the number of hill offense medals you earn. On the flip side, if you're holding a hill and the enemy is making a push for it, obviously try to kill them before they reach it, or if you know that's not possible, rather than stand your ground in a contested hill, back out of it so they then gain control of the hill, and then kill them to make sure you get a medal for it. If you want to ignore me by playing 8v8 and chance getting territories instead, you can also earn medals for capturing a territory, killing an enemy while you're in a territory zone, and capturing 3 territories in a match. The medal for killing an enemy while you're in a territory zone can be earned by both teams, regardless of who owns the territory. The annoying thing about this medal though, is that there's not really a visible indicator as to whether you're in a territory zone or not. Attackers will be presented with a small progress bar when they're in a territory zone and actively capturing it, however once it's captured, it'll disappear. One other thing to note is that these territory medals can only be earned in Halo 2, Halo 2 Anniversary, and Halo 3. Halo 2 Anniversary does have a few more territory medals, but they don't count towards objective results, which is why I haven't covered them. Moving on to stick around, you'll need to get 5 kills by sticking enemies with grenades. There are only 2 grenade types which count for this. The plasma grenade, which is available in all games, and the spike grenade, which is exclusive to Halo 3. You have to kill enemy players by sticking them directly. A nearby explosion from one of these grenades is not sufficient. Also, if you stick a vehicle and the explosion kills one of the occupants, this also won't count, as the grenade needs to directly land on other players. If you get lucky and directly stick someone who just happens to be in a vehicle, then that will count, just make sure it doesn't attach to the vehicle itself. Obviously, don't rely on this tactic, but if you're playing a game and you notice an enemy player is AFK, make the most of that situation and try to get in close and stick them. Stationary targets are a lot easier to stick than moving ones. Now, moving on to spray and play, you'll need to get 25 kills with automatic weapons. In Halo 3, there are a range of automatic weapons, all of them as bad as each other. Despite starting with it, avoid using the assault rifle. It's really weak and you'll end up sacrificing half of your kills to beatdowns because that method is just far more viable for finishing kills when you're using it. If you're going to attempt this one, I'd recommend either using dual wield SMGs or the Needler to try and break the habit of finishing the kills with the beatdown. Friendly fire is a bit of an easy one to cover. Just win 3 social games. Don't bother focusing on this one because you'll probably complete it without even trying. If you're focusing on trying to get objective medals and sticky grenade kills, that's probably enough to keep you busy without the stress of trying to win as well. Just let those wins come naturally. Stayin Alive. You need to finish 3 games with an average life of 35 seconds or longer. Unfortunately, there's no real way to track this as you're playing, unless you mentally keep track of how many times you've died and how long the game's been going for, but that's not exactly realistic. Usually, you're looking at around 12 minutes for a typical game, and if you divide that by 35 seconds, you're left with 20.6, so round that down to 20. That means, in a full game, you can die a maximum of 20 times to still qualify for this challenge. That's quite a lot. Quick tip for when you're playing your King of the Hill games, if there's a teammate already in the hill, avoid going into it, because you don't earn extra points for having more people in the hill, and all you'll be doing is putting yourself in harm's way. You want to avoid dying where you can. The last challenge for these 5 games is Still Rolling, where you need to earn 5 spree medals. You'll earn a spree medal for every 5 kills you get without dying, up to a total of 40 kills per life. Similar to the previous challenge, you might be better off avoiding the hill. Again, that's the entire focus of the game and you definitely don't want that kind of attention. Some obvious tips here, but you might want to go for power-ups and equipment to help you survive. Obviously the overshield provides you with more health, the regenerator forces your shields to recharge, and the bubble shield will protect you from most external threats. So yeah, those are all the challenges that we can complete, or at least make a good start on within our initial 5 games. After you've played those 5, I like to move on over to Big Team Battle so we can start working on Speed Bumper, where we need to earn 3 splatter medals. It's a similar setup to last week. I keep on all of the game categories, minus action, sack and snipers, only this time I look for Halo 3 games. Again, feel free to search for Halo 2 Classic as well if you want, but I can't imagine you'll find too many of those games. There's not too much to say about Speed Bumper really, just grab a vehicle and get 3 splatters. Typically you'll want to grab the Covenant vehicles for this, as most of them have boosting capabilities which are super helpful when trying to get your splatters. The one Covenant vehicle I would probably avoid is the Prowler, because it doesn't have a boost and it handles quite poorly. I'd say Ghosts and Choppers are the best choices here. Ghosts are extremely manoeuvrable and perfect for splattering individuals. Choppers on the other hand are a bit more awkward when it comes to turning. However, boosting into pretty much any vehicle that isn't a tank can destroy it, and award you splatter medals for each of the occupants you kill in the process. Once you've completed your 7 games of either Halo 2 Classic or Halo 3 for the Dual Wielders challenge, feel free to switch up and play any games you want going forwards. Just note that if you're still trying for Speed Bumper, in Combat Evolved, Covenant vehicles don't have a boost. That said, the physics in Combat Evolved are different to the rest of the games, and for some reason, vehicles do massive damage on impact, so you can get splatters even when you're moving very slowly. So, just something to bear in mind if you are struggling. The final 2 challenges left to cover are both of the custom games browser ones. I went into quite a lot of detail for these in the Set A video, and I don't want to regurgitate what I've already said just for the sake of it, so go and check the last part of that video out, because if you have a spare controller or two, you can get both of those challenges done within minutes. That's pretty much all of the challenges covered now. By this point, you may still have a couple of challenges outstanding. Hopefully, you will have finished Dual Wielders and Survey Crew, so you should just be able to play any games you want. Definitely play 8v8 to get your splatters done. The rest of them can be completed on 4v4 if that's what you prefer, so you can go back to that after, though feel free to carry on just playing Big Team Battle if that's a bit more you. If I have any challenges left at this point, I personally play Halo 2 Anniversary and Halo 4 Zone Control. I prefer the assault rifles in these games. They feel slightly stronger than the ones in other games, so they're actually okay for getting automatic kills. Also, you have the chance to get your hands on a saw in Halo 4. That gun absolutely fucking destroys, and in my opinion is the best weapon for that challenge by far. The one downside is that they're not that common. The reason for zone control is just to get more King of the Hill. I reckon this is probably the best game type for earning objective medals out of them all. The Halo 4 Regicide mode can also be extremely good for medals, but that does require you to be the best player on your team, and because it's part of the Asset Denial playlist, half the time you end up getting oddball games instead. So it gets an honourable mention, but for the average player I probably wouldn't recommend it. Again, this is all preference, so play what you want. Now, I'm not sure why this is the case, but despite Halo 4 having plasma grenades, you can't actually progress the stick around challenge in it. My guess is that it's down to a technicality. In Halo 4, if you kill an enemy player with a plasma grenade, either by a direct stick or just from a nearby explosion, you'll be awarded the same medal, the Plasma Kill Medal. The description for Stick Around claims you need to earn 5 Grenade Stick medals, but because the Plasma Kill Medal doesn't technically count as a grenade stick, just a plasma grenade kill, it then doesn't count towards the challenge. That's my theory anyway. So yeah, if you do still need to complete Stick Around, do not play any Halo 4. That's probably the only exception though in regards to playing whatever you want. Just to quickly touch on a few more of them, if you still need friendly fire, just keep churning through a few games. If you really do struggle, perhaps play some 8v8. If you accept that you might not be the best of players, playing as part of a bigger team means you'll have less of a negative impact overall compared to a 4v4 or even a 2v2. And don't even think about playing free-for-all. With Stayin Alive, if you still need to complete this one, play cautiously and stick with your team for a better chance at survival. I don't particularly want to mention the next two methods because it will be to the detriment of your team, but in theory, you could either play objective-based games and just don't play the objective. By all means, go for kills, but just don't enter the hill or pick up any flags and bombs. You don't want to make yourself vulnerable. Or, the other option is to just straight up hide. I know it's a bit of a dick move, but this is a guide for completing challenges, not making friends online. And finally, if you're struggling to get spree medals, similar to the previous challenge, play objective-based games but only go for kills. Reason for this is that other players will usually shift their focus to the objectives. If they pick up a bomb, oddball or flag, they're going to be pretty defenceless, assuming you don't get too close, and they're going to be focused more on either holding a zone or getting something from point A to point B. It's less likely that they're going to be seeking you out to kill you. Alternatively, if you struggle killing players, let alone 5 in one life, there are a few more types of spree medals that count towards this challenge, but note that they can only be earned in Halo Reach. You can also earn spree medals for having 5, 10 or 15 Wheelman medals, assists, or teammates spawning on you in a single life. The easiest of these categories is probably the Wheelman medals. All you need to do is drive a multi-seated vehicle around and have passengers get kills. The Gauss Hog is ideal for this, but the normal Hog will also work fine. Unfortunately, you won't earn regular assists here, so you can't stack the Wheelman and assist spree medals. I don't think assist sprees or spawning sprees are worth going for, in my opinion. By the time you get an assist spree, you've probably already had a killing spree, and I think spawning sprees can only be earned in Invasion and Invasion Slayer. Invasion is a ranked playlist, so of course, good luck even finding a game there if you did want to try. I think that about covers it. Just to summarise, the games you'll need to play for maximum efficiency for PvE. You can start with an optional 2 games of Firefight, followed by 2 normal missions of Uplift Reserve, making sure at least one of them is done as a playlist mission, followed by 2 normal runs of Metropolis. Next, a quick run through of Floodgate for the Golden Mowers, although you can quit it as soon as you get all 3. If you have any challenges outstanding at this point, the Start of Regret should cover the rest of them. In terms of PvP, start with 5 games of 4v4 Halo 3 Zone Control, followed by 2 games of Halo 3 Big Team Battle. Next, play your custom game, and then again, play any matches you feel like to mop up the remaining challenges. This is where I'd play 4v4 Halo 2 Anniversary and Halo 4 Zone Control, though be sure to avoid Halo 4 if you are still going for grenade sticks. I'm going to finish on the same piece of advice as last week. Make sure you complete enough challenges to complete your Peoples vs Peoples challenge. 500k XP is up for grabs, so make sure you bag that one. As always, if you think there are any decent strategies that I haven't covered for any of these challenges, please let me know what they are in the comments. That about wraps it up, I think, so I'll see you next week for the final weekly challenge video. Set C.